All right, everybody, welcome back to the Pro Physique Code. In today's episode, myself and Daraja are going to discuss, we're going to discuss mostly the feedback you got from the Olympia.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do to continue the progress we've made? And I thought it would also be fun to get into some other topics. I also think it's good to note that you're not going to be in prep in the early part of this year, so you're going to be at some events. Yeah. You're also not getting married this year. No. There's a lot off your plate right now.
I'm so excited about this year because of that. You know, obviously the question has been like, why aren't you doing the Arnold? When are you competing next? And I think what people don't emphasize enough is the importance of having those phases of contest prep, being zeroed in, locked into that, and then having the phases where you can take a break from that, but you pour toward, like, channel that energy into other things like work, like business, like networking, being able to travel more without the stress of being in prep, and be so much more all in and focused on that aspect of things. Because I love that. I love being around the industry, not just when I'm in prep, but, you know, for my clients, and also for just being part of Team Pro Physique. So
yeah, and I think sometimes you don't realize how much stuff you kind of put on the back burner until you don't have a wedding, you don't have a show date, you don't have big ticket items, and you know, like, you've been at a bunch of events recently. So you came last weekend alone, you came to 2 events on the same weekend. We had an event at our studio, a free posing clinic, had about 30 people there. Joe Pishkula came, Brittany Hamilton came, a bunch of other pros on the team, and a bunch of NPC new competitors, even some girls that have never competed before, which that's probably my favorite thing.
Same. It was awesome.
And then the next day you went down to Stuart, Florida, to Chris Bumstead's home gym for an NPC Florida workshop. So I wanted to go to that with you. I was forced to not attend. I had to take care of some dad stuff at the house. So
that's fine.
Talk to us. You know, I like to be at all the things, you know, like, I take this pretty seriously. So, like, you know, I felt bad not being able to make it. But talk to me about that event, or, you know, kind of share with everybody what those kind of events are like if they haven't attended one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So honestly, I think it's incredible that we have events like this now, and more often, because essentially what we do is we have, luckily for me now, I can be on that panel, but we have a panel of champions and people who have been relatively successful in this industry as far as competing is concerned. And you get a chance to ask questions, learn from them, hear about their journey and what got them to where they are now. And it shows you the kinds of opportunities that come out of competing, aside from just getting a medal or a trophy on stage, right? You know, I think one of the biggest emphasis is competing is not going to be the end all be all, right? And that's not to say that competing isn't an amazing goal. And there's so much you can learn about yourself as a competitor if you do it right? If you let yourself focus on the right things, maintain a good perspective, you can achieve what a lot of people fail at or can't do because it's hard. It's really hard. You come out of it with a sense of accomplishment. You, like I said, learn a lot about yourself, lots of self-reflection, lots of digging deep, and doing things you didn't know you were capable of. But yeah, it also just educates, you know, just the sense of community that there is through competing, not just being on a specific team and the community within that team, but the community aspect of just competitors in this fitness life and this lifestyle in general. Because, you know, there's obviously the opposite end of the people who don't necessarily pay attention to their health in that way, and they're not as focused on the nutrition and staying hydrated and training and the importance of all those things that can extend your life, right? Instead of just kind of not paying attention to those things. It's important to have those things so well executed, not just to achieve a physique, but to achieve health in general, and which is the biggest takeaway.
Well, and I think whenever we use the word health, at least in my mind, for years, it was only about, oh, your muscle, your body fat, your digestion. I think of health now more as the emotional mental health, because, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, competing is not good for you, it's not healthy. And I say, well, there are definitely periods of, like, say, a competition prep where you're not the healthiest version of yourself. I'm still healthier than 99.9% of the people in the world, even when I'm at my worst in prep.
Right.
But mostly it gives me that thing to push for that gets me the freaking excited to get out of bed in the morning. Like, I'm dieting right now, and I have this renewed sense of purpose that I forget every time I prep. I'm like, I forgot how good it feels to prep, because I'm fighting for something. I'm not just going through my day. I'm like, no, I got to get this done, this done, and this done. I manage my time better. I'm ticking boxes. I'm scheduling things. I just feel accomplished. It's like, every time I start dieting for a show, I say I'm a better version of myself.
Even in off season, I still get excited to get up and get my blood flow with some cardio in the morning.
Yeah.
And those are just things that you do, not because you feel like you have to, but because they make you feel amazing at the end of the day. Like you said, that sense of accomplishment, prioritizing your time management, planning ahead, all of those things that make you successful, not just in fat loss, but like in life in general.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why, you know, the whole idea of like, oh, there's, you know, oh, there's no money in bodybuilding. There's no money. No, but you know, you don't need to go win the Olympia to be successful in bodybuilding. You can literally find something that you're passionate about. I've seen people open gyms, you know, people become posing coaches, they become prep coaches, they become promoters. There's so many aspects to this sport. You know, look at Alexis with Shoe Fairy. Alexa with Shoe Fairy. Like, gosh, like that girl's literally building an empire around heels.
Killing it. And she's pregnant right now, and she looks amazing. She's so cute.
And she's actually stepping into, you know, we saw her at the Olympia at her booth, and I was like, what is this booth? It had nothing to do with prep. She's building a whole line of shoes just for daily life.
Yeah, and it's amazing. I just got actually the new ones, the Olympian 2.0s, because she made a shorter version of the Olympians, because I think a common like issue was
I think Brittany had them, right? She brought them.
Yep, and they're, oh my God, they're so comfortable. I literally could just like, they're so comfy. I personally love the height. You know, I'm short, so I like having, I told Brittany, I was like, if I'm gonna wear heels, I want my nose to be bleeding. I love that they're tall. But for people who have an issue walking in taller heels, honestly, the half an inch makes such a difference.
That's what the first thing Brittany said to me. She's like, they're so easy to walk in.
They are, yeah.
I'll say this: you didn't look short at the Olympia. That first call out, you're eye to eye with Ashley. You're taller than Maureen. You're right there with Jen.
Yeah. I wore a taller Olympian on purpose, because the Goddess Olympians, they have an extra platform too. And I was like, I need a little extra something.
No, I mean, you know, it's not like there's a 6'3" girl on the stage, you know, like it's few inches. And especially when you take Laura Lee and Janet out of that top four, it really kind of compacted everybody. So, I mean, that, you know, there was, what year was it? Laura Lee, Janet, it was like the first call out was like, okay, volleyball team.
I know. I think that was like 2019, because Issa was the one, I think, that won that year, but it was
Issa's pretty tall too. I think if she was in like a national show, she'd be in like F or G at least.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the topic at hand. Then we're gonna have some fun with what's going on here. I got some fun rapid fire questions to get into, because I want to start making these interviews fun. I'm gonna start getting more you know, bikini Olympian interviews. I got to get Sally on here. She's a tough one from Japan. It's such a time difference. But I've already gotten Lana, you, and Brittany, so we'll start having some fun. And then we'll talk about some of the events that are coming up that we're going to be at, because I think that's also a good way to connect. But the feedback portion of the Olympia, it's always you know, you watch it and you watch it again and again and again, and you know, the good news is some of the judges came right over to the booth, right? Some of them right after prejudging I got to talk to, you know, and they're not telling me what to do or this and that, but they're, you know, they're just like, good job, right? So we got some immediate feedback, but there's a couple people that you really want that feedback from.
Tyler and Sandy.
Yeah, and Sandy is an open book. The second you see her or get a hold of her, she will be open with you. Tyler is a little tougher, right? Like I think he's a little more calculated. He you know, at least in my mind, he's a little bit tougher to get to, right? Like,
he is, and he's a little bit harder to read, but I will say you like start to learn the body language and the facial expressions when you're like when you see the judges so many times.
yeah,
You get that like little peak of satisfaction that you
right.
like you're supposed to do. You're like, oh, we made them happy. That's all that matters.
Well, and
But
I mean that's literally what it's come down to is we are basically looking for the feedback that we are doing what they ask.
exactly, yeah.
Because
Which
that's the
it's
one thing I really love about Tyler is that he doesn't mince his words. He doesn't give you false hope.
He doesn't sugarcoat shit.
No, he tells it like it is, but when he's happy, you know. And the first time that ever happened to us was Texas, Republic of Texas.
Yeah.
He literally came backstage. And, you know, usually when I get feedback from Tyler, it's a pretty abbreviated, like, she needs to be bigger here. She needs to be tighter here. What, you know, okay, could move on, right? It's not a long conversation, but you know what he meant. And in Texas, he came backstage after the pros were done and found us and was like, you guys, this is the look for the Olympia.
You nailed it.
And he's like, I know it's not easy, but this is the look we want at the Olympia. And I was like, whoa, like I think I get chills thinking about it now because that's the feedback you want.
Always, you know.
Yeah, you want to know you're on the right track. And I think, you know, you and I, you know, I think maybe it seems like we've been at this a long time. This was our third Olympia. 3 Olympias I've been to as a coach and you as a competitor, right? It seems like such a long journey, but I still remember when you got Olympia qualified and we thought, oh my gosh, Issa's the champ. We got to look like Issa.
Yeah. We didn't know any better. Like
no.
we really
and the judges were telling us this is a perfect look. And we were like, yeah, sure it is.
They're like, we'll show you.
Yeah, no. And I mean, to be fair, we were both at the Arnold when you came back out with your, I'll say your new look. You had about 4 more pounds of muscle on you, a lot of it in the upper body. They were not happy.
They were just like, listen, it's just, that's not what we want for this division.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show you, like, when you see your favorite competitors and you see who's winning and who becomes the quote unquote standard, that does not mean that you mold your body to look like that specifically. Because if you look at bikini, they've said it so many times, it's that category where it does welcome a lot of different body types, a lot of different structures. There is like a standard structure, you know, the wide shoulders, you know, the smaller waist.
But that's every division. Every division has that. Yeah.
But you can't just try to copy and paste, you know, that exact look onto yourself.
Right.
Because that muscle density looks different on everybody, that conditioning looks different on everybody. So you have to find what actually looks best for you.
Yeah, and so specifically what we're talking about is when Issa won, I'll never forget because when I was watching it, that was the year Janet was supposed to win because she had won the Arnold. She had never won the Olympia. So we all thought, and then when they announced Issa the winner, I just remember thinking like, okay, so we've really got to build up that upper body, the back, the shoulders to create that crazy shape. And you were one of the few people at that time that had a structure similar to Issa in that front pose. You had that wild front, like, you know, that curve, that S curve, I call it. Yeah. And so I think we just thought, well, and to be fair, I didn't know how fast you were going to put on muscle.
Me either. That was, I mean, because that was my first off season actually like having strategic like diet and training.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, we were doing like a bodybuilding split with like back day, shoulder day, you know, we had, you know, so your back, you know, I remember you came to our Command the Stage event that we did that year, and I was like, dang, you are like huge. You were doing like some figure poses for fun.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
No. Well, I mean,
for this Olympia though, was that we really, it was like splitting hairs. It wasn't unanimous that I was in 4th place either. You know, there was some judges that had me in 3rd, but what Stanley and Tyler had agreed on was that out of all the top 4, my hamstrings were the most prominent, which when they're trying to display what the standard is going to be, they were a little just too sharp for what they want to tell other girls, like, this is what we want for bikini. You know, I'm looking, I've obviously watched it a few times, but I think Maureen's physique did show and display that kind of perfect balance with conditioning and shape and fullness. where nothing quite, stood out too much. Obviously, it's subjective, so there is an aspect of that comes into play. But that was my feedback. And everything else they said was damn near perfect for what they want to see on me. My legs, as far as the interior chain, quads specifically, could be a little bit fuller. Being a more petite competitor, they, I guess, can look a little bit more slender when I am dieted down in stage lean. So, and then just focusing on building the glutes back up a little bit more was what Tyler had said. I think someone said the same thing, just a little bit fullness in the glutes, because it also could just pull some of that away from the hamstrings.
Yeah, and so I think part of it, I don't know that it's so much like getting rid of the hamstring look, because it's not like you have striated hamstrings. They're just visible.
I've had those hamstrings since I was like in high school. So as far as getting rid of them, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that.
It's more about bringing everything up into balance where your eye doesn't go there at all. It just goes like, that's the thing about the Maureen package. Your eye isn't like fixed on her stomach, her shoulders, her glutes. It's fixed on the overall package, right? And I think that's, and I think they're doing a good job right now in at the Olympia level of finding that person that has everything, but at the same time, nothing is overly focused.
And I think too, I mean, I have wide shoulders, so, and I have more narrow hips. So when I'm trying to create that balance, having glutes full enough to kind of match the fullness on my upper body. I was told, do not bring your shoulders up anymore. I don't need more shoulders. So we'll just focusing on maintaining those. But when you talk about a physique that flows, I want to be able to create that balance from top to bottom. So we're close. We're very, very close. And then my other feedback was just to get more consistent with my conditioning, which we already established when we talked about how this year went, or last year went with prep, the issues we ran into. So we should have an easier time nailing my conditioning more consistently this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the exciting part, is that we actually decided not to do the Arnold. I mean, we decided well in advance not to do the Arnold because that was around your honeymoon anyway.
I was not going to be in Switzerland half dieting. That was not happening.
No, and I think, we can discuss a little bit why we're not doing the Arnold, or why anyone shouldn't do the Arnold or should. First of all, it's a huge honor to even be selected to do the Arnold. So like, that's not something that we take lightly, but we're not trying to win the Arnold. Someday we might be, but when you walk off the Olympia stage fourth, the job is second, first, third. Like we got to keep improving and putting us in that position. And you can't do that if you're spending another 10 weeks in prep. And now the season is shorter.
Right.
Qualifications end in October. Right. So it's going to be a shorter season. And I don't know if people have paid attention. I just looked on the Pro Bikini schedule. There are quite a few less shows in the United States this year.
Yeah, they definitely dialed that down.
They pulled back the Boston. So last year Boston happened. Last year there was a show called Golden State. That's gone. So like, there's some shows that I'm already noticing, like, oh, I was planning to attend some of these shows. They don't have Pro Bikini right now. So
we have some on our radar for sure. I mean, y'all know I love Texas. So if I can squeeze in a Texas show again this year, I'd love to. But I will not be, targeting any of those shows in August. Tampa Pro, I will be there, but I'm not going to be on stage. Like I said too, the phase that I'm in with just obviously the focus and goal physique wise is to continue fine-tuning that and refining it, but I want to work. I also love my job. I love posing coaching. I love being a coach for Team Pro Physique. I have a couple girls getting on stage this year. And also just my lifestyle clients. Like, I love being able to give more to that. And yeah, I love what I do. So, and not wedding prepping. Great.
Listen, I know you planned your whole year around the wedding and the competing, and you did it masterfully, but looking back now, you can say like, that was not easy, right?
Hell no, that wasn't easy. I don't think I would have done it any differently, only because I had made it like very just from the start. I was like, I'm getting married. I'm competing and shooting for the Olympia. Those are the two things I had decided. I think.
Yeah, we even discussed potentially going, maybe we just take the year off from the Olympia and just do the Arnold or something.
We did, but I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we didn't really. I don't think I would have done it any different. I think, and I had gotten questions like, well, how did you, like, why did you do that, or how did you even like balance both? And honestly, it comes with the decision making. Once you decide this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, the navigating around that becomes a lot easier. When you waver, between decisions and committing to something, that's when the anxiety kicks in. That's when you have one foot out the door, one foot in the door. I don't think, had I been as certain I was getting married and competing, I would have had as seamless of a time.
Well, I think that's a perfect example of what contest prep is. I mean, you have to manage every day almost down to the minute to get everything in, and that's why I say it over and over, like deciding to a bodybuilding competition is going to make you a better version of yourself. Like you're going to learn things
in so many ways.
Who cares if you get one of those trophies over there? That's Daraja's trophy, by the way. She's got so many now. She's like, can you keep some for me, please?
You also have my first year Olympia medal. I gave that to you.
It's hanging up on my trophy right behind me. And then I also have your North Americans overall.
Oh, that's right. I did give that one to you.
Yeah. So
it helps as you get that little reminder.
I'm saving room for that Olympia.
I have my place one sitting right there above my head. But yeah, it was quite a year, but like I said, I would not have done it any differently. So as far as how we're going to structure my training, because that I think too, there are some, questions about like how we're navigating training when you don't have a whole lot much more to grow, knowing my body has an affinity to grow muscle. But essentially,
it gets boring.
It can get boring, and I will say, like, it does suck sometimes. I got into the sport because I love competing, so don't think like I'm over here just like sitting on my ass, like I don't have to train today. I love to be in the gym.
Right.
But that goal is like just right there, that carrot at the end of the stick. So whatever plans and adjusting we need to do to get there, that's what I'm focused on.
So I'll talk a little bit about the fact that Brett Contreras has moved to South Florida. So what's cool is he's got a gym and he's got his equipment getting set up right now. So Daraja and I are going to be down there very soon. And he's actually going to do some EMG work with Daraja.
I can't wait.
And I'm going to bring a few other competitors there too. But the goal with the EMG work is it actually tells us which body parts are being activated in each lift. And, the thing that Brett has taught me is like, for some people, squats grow glutes. For some people, squats grow adductors and quads. For some, so a lot of stuff is biomechanically. Now, you can figure a lot of this stuff out on your own just based on how you're going. But I thought, listen, if we're trying to maximize glute growth and minimize hamstring, why don't we go see what are the best movements? And we're going to focus on those because we know you build muscle. Mm-hmm. So atrophying muscles is damn near impossible when you're getting stimulus. So why don't we see how we can just make sure the glutes are maximized, the hamstrings are minimized, and also, like, not for nothing, you still need legs. You still got to have some quads in there. It's not like,
which is exciting news for me, because we for a while had spent some time obviously just playing years of tennis and then training legs a lot, to just because I enjoyed it before I started competing. They were a little bit more developed, a little bit more dominant. Now they're much more balanced with my physique, and I could afford to add a little bit of volume there. So I'll be adding back in, some goblet squats, and split squats, Bulgarian split squats, curtsy lunges, things like that. But we'll be avoiding RDLs, good mornings, things that are, a lot more emphasis on the loading of the hamstrings. As much as I try to like kind of turn them off when I'm doing those movements, because I do feel like my glutes, they are great glute movements. It's just too much hamstrings for me. Even training, I can literally see them. when I'm doing
Well,
those
that'll be
movements.
the fun thing with Brett, because he's obviously an expert on this as well. And on the top of that, we'll get to see literally what specifically your body lights
Yeah.
up on, because maybe you can do an RDL, but shorter range of motion,
Yeah.
so there, the thing I love about Brett is like, he's basically inventing things all the time. Whenever you go train with him, he's putting pads on things, bands on things. He's pushing your head down. He's pulling your head back. He's like, you know, he's like an artist with
Mhm.
focusing on growing certain muscles. He loves that aspect of it.
And this is honestly, I mean, for those, if you're new to competing and training and you're listening to this and you're like, I don't even understand what they're talking about. Like I have been training and have such a foundation knowledge wise because of my background in education. I have a bachelor's degree in athletic training. I went through school and went through those courses where we learn all the muscles, origins, and insertions, all the bones in the body, every single muscle, what it does, why it's there. So the combining my knowledge education wise and then just my knowledge and experience and years of training and learning what moves I feel best for certain body parts, that's when you can get so specific. But if you're just starting, really get good at the basics and get a foundation. Start Googling, okay, if I'm doing squats, what muscles are activating that?
Right.
What muscles are used for lateral raises? Where is the range of motion? Things like that. What even is range of motion? Because some people don't even know what that means.
Right.
If you're trying to like start to actually get into bodybuilding or training, become a student of your body. That's honestly the best place to start. Learn what a mind muscle connection is, how to get a mind muscle connection for yourself with the very basic movements, and then kind of build from there. But when we talk about this stuff,
Yeah.
getting so specific because I have the foundation of muscle that I need. We're really just fine tuning and molding and
Yeah,
sculpting.
it's crazy at this point. It's literally crazy, because at this point they're deciding based on one competitor what an entire division is going to be based on the next year. Like when you go the last year, when we would go to seminars, they would pull up pictures of Jennifer Dory and go, this is her at the Olympia, this is the standard. And then this year it's going to be Maureen. So when they're trying to decide that, they've got to make sure that this person ticks all the boxes. So that's where we are. 99% of the competitors out there just focus on putting on muscle. Just grow.
Yeah.
Just grow. Yeah.
Grow. If your foundation of your training for lower body days is kickbacks, you need to be adding some
No. If you're
compound
not
movement.
if you're not PRing on some type of squat variation, some type of hip hinge variation, some
Yeah,
type of, those are the big ticket items. And then,
it's gonna build you big.
very few people are gonna get too big. Like I don't.
No.
Yeah.
I made a post today, like in my story. I was like, y'all, this is how I look in gym clothes. This is how I look in normal clothes.
Right.
We keep it cute, but like this shape does not come from cardio and kickbacks. This shape comes from lifting heavy shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was my feedback. That's kind of how we're approaching things, getting a little bit even more
And
specific.
then our plan will be what? October,
Yeah,
September, October, looking at some shows.
Because that's the other thing is if I'm trying to come out earlier than I need to, you risk not looking as fresh. You can get a little bit too tired. And I want to come out looking like, wow.
Yeah.
And I think having enough time to also add the tissue that we need to the glutes and then keep it there when we diet down is the other thing.
Yep.
You're having a couple months, like 2-3 months of an off season, quote unquote off season, and you're trying to build. Some of that's body fat, some of that might be muscle, but when you diet back down again, you inevitably do lose some lean mass when you diet for a show. It's inevitable. And so in order to make sure that it stays, you need some time. Let that muscle mature. That density happens over time. So yeah, you will not see me on stage until at least September at the earliest. At the earliest.
Yeah, I think you nailed it there. It's understanding that change takes time, and just because you gained weight doesn't mean you gained the stage weight that you wanted to gain.
Yep. I mean, stage weight, I've gotten that question too. What is my stage weight? Which I mean, the lowest my stage weight has ever been was like 112, 113. That was when we did Michigan. But my stage weight now, I don't think we've seen that number since.
No, I don't think you're capable of seeing that number anymore. I do think, you know, we could still probably eke out another pound from this year. You know, because they're still like, hey, we could be a little tighter in the core. Like we could see a little bit more detail. We don't know what that looks like on you. But honestly, this year was a stretch. Like at the finish, we were just really happy with how we finished. But I mean, I told her, I said, I kind of wish we had 2 more weeks because I feel like you were just hitting your stride. If there was a show 2 weeks later for qualification, I think you would have walked in there and that would have been the best version you've ever seen.
Because I think what it could be a good idea too is to just come down a little bit smaller than we need to conditioning wise, and then really fill out. Because I obviously look the absolute best when I'm nice and full. You know, sometimes there's a line where you're like maybe a little bit full, but not completely filled out. I think to fill out where we need to be to blur the hamstrings, keep the core tight, we might want to see like a 114, 115, and then fill out. But that's obviously, we'll talk about that when we get there. Yeah,
it's the look at this point. No one cares about the number on the scale. We just use the number on the scale to say, are we making progress? Are we seeing things? It just so happens that a few days out before the Olympia, we saw the lowest number on the scale we saw all year. So that also helps emotionally and mentally when you know the work you're putting in is being rewarded. It just gives you sleep better. You wake up excited. It's like, you know, the stress drops and you go, okay, no matter what the ding happens on the stage, we know we are better than we've been. And that's exciting.
Oh yeah. It's the best feeling.
Yeah. So let's do some rapid fire questions and then let's get on with our day.
Bring it.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. Do you prefer texting or talking?
Texting.
Okay. Favorite city to travel to in the United States besides Jacksonville?
In the United States?
Yeah. No Switzerland.
I was going to say Zermatt. But Texas is freaking fun. So maybe Austin or Dallas.
Austin or Dallas. Okay. I feel like those are 2 very different cities. All right. What is your favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Today. Yay. Nickname your parents used for you.
Ladybug.
What?
Ladybug.
Ladybug. I like that. The last song you downloaded or saved?
I See You by Coco Jones.
How's that go?
Don't make me sing on here.
Oh, come on. You know you like to sing.
It's on my last reel, so just go
all right. Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world? I know the answer to this one. Or be able to speak to animals?
Oh my gosh, that's so hard.
Oh, I thought it would be so easy for you.
No, honestly, and you probably would think I would want to talk to animals, but I would love to speak every language in the world. Are you kidding me? That'd be so cool.
Like C-3PO.
I'd be an international bitch.
That would be cool, but I thought for sure you'd be like, oh yeah, I can talk to the dog. I'm gonna do that.
I would love to, but I mean, I can talk to my dogs anyway. They talk.
Yeah, you feel like you know what they're saying anyway. Favorite holiday?
Christmas.
That's a good one. How long does it take you to get ready for going out?
I could totally get ready in like 45 minutes, 30 minutes.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been in a car with you when you were driving because I refuse to let anyone drive when I'm in a car but me usually. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
If you're asking me,
I'm
a great driver. I would give myself honest rating like an 8.
What would Keith give you?
Oh, you know, he might knock a couple points off.
Should I text him right now and
yeah, I call him maybe like a 6 because I have gotten better, but like my road rage used to be pretty bad. Okay,
I was gonna say spatial awareness because you do bump into a lot of things when you're walking, so I don't know if you go over curbs. That's my pet peeve with my wife. She curbs my rims.
I sometimes will go over curbs. I'm gonna blame my the height on that one though, because sometimes it's hard for me to judge. I also don't have the best.
You drive like old lady, like right up on the wheel.
I do because I can't freaking see. But sometimes I'll do like I don't have the best depth perception. And if you ask me at nighttime, I will give myself like a 5 or
Okay.
4 because I have to drive slower because I just have a hard time seeing.
Fair enough. Self-awareness is good. Good thing you go to bed at 8 o'clock. You're not out there on the streets.
Oh my gosh, no, I could not. I hate
All
my
right.
drive.
All right. Fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is.
Not my taste.
All right. I like it.
Good for her though.
Good for her. Good for all your success.
Yeah, like I'm happy for you.
At what age would you want to retire?
How much money do I have saved? Does that matter?
Yeah, no, like assuming you have all the things that you want to have, what would you want to stop working at? Or do you know?
45.
Jesus. I'm looking at 45 in the rear view, dude.
I
I
would,
love
I mean, realistically speaking, probably not that young. But if I could choose, like, I would love to be retired at 45 and just like go live my life.
I think when I was your age, I probably thought, I'd like to retire at 45. Now that I'm 45, I'm like, I feel like I'm just warming up.
Hmm.
And, I'm pretty close with Dr. Joe Klemzeski, and he's a couple of years older than me. He's like 52. And all his kids are out of the house. And he's like, Paul, I have never had more drive to work in my entire life. I have no responsibilities. He's working more. I'm like, that's awesome. That's how I feel. So anyway, but
Yeah.
you retire at 45. Here's my vision of retirement, because what retirement means to me is you wake up, you get on the couch, drink a cup of coffee, maybe you go hit a few golf balls, come back, take a nap, watch a movie, right? That sounds great for 3 days. And then I'm going to be like, okay, I got to do something with my life. Like, I
For
don't see
me,
myself.
retirement looks like this. I wake up, I get some exercise in, whatever that is, training, cardio, whatever. I have the freedom to, if I want to go to Paris next week, I can just book my flight,
Oh,
get
okay. So you're staying active.
Yeah, stay active.
You're not
But
sitting around the house.
no, bills are paid. I have commas in my bank account and I'm retired. I'm traveling.
Commas in my bank account. You got the first Olympia title that paid $100,000, so you're doing all right.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Would you prefer to be invisible or have super strength?
My nosy ass. I love to be invisible. Just listen to everybody.
For those that aren't like watching on the video, you just got like your head started bobbing.
Yeah, I'm nosy. So like I hate drama, but like I love to like be that fly on the wall. So I would love to just, walk around like an expo or something one day and just be like, what are they talking about? Go sit behind the judges after prejudging
That
and be,
would be cool.
what are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm nosy.
All right. On a scale of 1 to 10, are you good at keeping secrets?
Hell yeah, because sometimes my friends tell me secrets. It's a vault. I'm a vault. I'm not going to say anything to anybody because that's not my business.
Scale of
Now,
1 to 10, can I keep a secret?
hell no. If you want to keep a secret, do not tell Paul.
Don't tell people that.
Don't tell Paul.
I forget that it's a secret. I'm just an open book. I'm terrible. Yeah, don't tell me
secret.
shit you don't want people to know. I just talk.
Yeah.
But someone told me once, like, if you don't lie, you don't have to remember things. So I just don't lie.
I guess.
Yeah.
You're just bad.
All right, I'm gonna scroll through a few more of these.
These are fun.
Cake or pie?
Hi.
Can you say a word in Spanish?
Hola. Mi corazón.
If Voldemort offered you a hug, would you accept it?
No. Oh,
That's a perfect one for you.
he's terrible. If knowing him, he'd hug me and then my life would be gone. He'd have my soul.
Yeah, but he's got like the thing in the back of the head. He's scary. Okay, what's for dinner tonight?
Tacos, baby.
Oh yeah, you already said that.
Yeah.
Well, that might be lunch. What time does he get off work?
Oh, not till this evening.
Oh,
Last
okay.
night was sushi.
Are reindeers real creatures?
Yes.
Okay, good. I've heard people say no to that.
They are. Now, flying reindeer, that's up for debate, but
With red noses, yeah.
yeah.
Are there kids in the room?
Right.
Tapas or pasta?
What?
Would you prefer to have pasta or tapas?
Wait, what's tapas again?
That's like where they make little small dishes and everybody shares them. It's like family style.
Oh, I'm gonna go with that because I'm not a big pasta person.
Tapas is great for a post show because everybody gets a taste of stuff and nobody just
That's what I like.
gorges.
I like having those options and like trying
Yeah.
different stuff.
We used to go to a tapas place after nationals in Miami. That's not there anymore, but there was a great place.
Yeah, that's more my deal.
Who's your favorite Harry Potter character?
You know,
Can I guess?
okay, you go ahead and guess.
And I'm not going to guess one of like the characters like in the story. I'm going to guess Dobby.
Oh, no, he's a good one though.
Okay. All right.
I love him. But I will say I do love Hagrid because he's just
yeah.
so lovable and he really like comes in clutch here like every now and then. And he's different, he's
Yeah.
helpful in some way. He's not perfect, but he is resourceful and helpful. I like him.
All right. I think that does it.
That was fun.
Yeah. I'm going to do more of those with like other guests. I think that'll keep the interest to the end.
Yeah, I'll have to
guessing what's coming. So let's talk. We're going to be at the Clash.
Yes.
Well, actually, if we go chronological, we've got the Command the Stage, which sold out.
That's freaking awesome, and I can't freaking wait.
Oh, it's going to be, a couple of the girls are like, oh, I just hope I get good at posing. I'm like, it's going to be Daraja, Lauralee, me. Who knows who else is coming from the team? I haven't even looked at the list, but like
You're gonna yeah. You're gonna be a lot.
Yeah. If you don't walk out of there good at posing, it's your own damn fault. Then literally the next weekend, we go to the Arnold.
Oh yeah. I am so excited about that.
The core nutritionals booth. I don't know the number, guys, but I will be there a lot of Friday. We've got Pro Physique's own Maria Nemeth competing at the NPC Amateur on Friday. So that'll be fun, which is usually on Thursday. So they moved it around. And then Saturday, we've got the expo. I'm leaving Saturday night. So if you want to see me, come see me Friday or Saturday. And Daraja, you're doing the same, right? Are you flying out Saturday?
No, I'm flying on Sunday. So I'll be there all day Friday, all day Saturday. So once I get the booth number, I will post it on my Instagram.
And I am excited for prejudging because it's like if they just took you out of the Olympia and it's the Olympia again.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch.
Maureen, Jen, Ashley, Lauralee, Phoebe. Anybody else from the top 10 that I'm forgetting?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
I mean, that's 5 of the top 7.
Ashley, did you say Ashley already?
Yeah, I said all the top. Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, that's going to be fantastic.
I mean, even not just bikini, like the men's open bodybuilding.
Men's open, bro. My prediction: Andrew Jacked is going to win.
Really?
Everyone thinks I'm crazy. Have you seen his recent updates?
No, but I just keep remembering Samson and how amazing he looked next to Big Ramy.
Yeah, no, Samson is amazing, but he's got flaws. The thing about Andrew Jacked is he doesn't have a single flaw, right? He doesn't have like missing body parts. His flaw was his conditioning.
I was just gonna say, what was his like?
Yeah, his hamstring glutes weren't in at the same level. But even Nick Walker said when he saw him backstage pumping up, he's like, I felt like he was a man among children.
He looks like a Greek god. Like if you were to have a statue on stage, he would be that statue.
Yeah. Well, when he came out he was at your show, the Dallas show,
oh my gosh, I got
as like a last minute sign up. And when he walked out, I was like, yeah, what is that?
What?
Like,
he looks like an action figure. Like he literally just looks like a freaking superhero out of a comic book.
Yeah.
Like the pictures do not do him justice.
No, I think that's what everyone says when you see him in person, because that's how I witnessed it. I had seen his videos on YouTube and stuff and thought, yeah, he looks really good. But when he walks out on stage, you're looking for a flaw. You're like, okay, how does he have the smallest waist and the widest shoulders and the bubbliest muscles? Even his abs look like they're like fake. They're like,
He's just like he's a genetic.
yeah. So
He's gifted.
I just hope, and he switched coaches.
He
So
did.
I'm just hoping he comes down another 5 or 10 pounds to be actually tight enough, because the dude has all the muscles. So
I can't wait. And then obviously Nick is a
oh,
fan.
and yeah, no, I'm a
You
Nick
gotta-
fan too. Obviously, he's super nice, and I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him get another win too. So my dream scenario is he's splitting middle. But I mean, you know, you still got Bonac coming back. I think Big Rami's doing it now. Like,
Yep.
is Braden
I'm
Curry
so
doing it?
pumped. I'm so
Yeah.
pumped. I don't think Brandon's doing it because I think he's taking that time off. I mean, from what I know, like about his preps, he goes and preps in Kuwait. I don't know how to say it.
Kuwait. Yeah.
But he goes and like he's overseas, and
Yep.
so he doesn't see his family while
Yep.
he's prepping. So I think he might want that time. I'm not going to speak for him, but I think that's what the consensus.
Well, we'll do a podcast when we get back from the Arnold, reviewing bikini and all the divisions for fun, with maybe like me, you, and whoever's there in person.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. And then,
Clash.
and then maybe we apply for the Arnold next year.
Maybe.
Might be the year to return and redeem ourselves.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to look at all the shows on your list where you didn't win and go back and win them all.
I still really want to win Tampa Pro, but
it's just going to always be a weird one, because actually, if they move the Olympia back to its original time in September, it'll be a perfect show.
Yeah.
And that's I've heard from the powers that be that's their goal. They just don't want to do it from December to September, right? They're going to do it a month at a time, but we'll see. Those are big contracts. The Olympia, they just can't like be like, oh, they have to sign contracts. They have to.
And it'll be back in Vegas next year.
That's the rumor.
Well, that's what I had heard.
Yeah. Until it's on paper, you don't really know, but they only have a 1-year contract for Orlando, so it should not be in Orlando for more than a year. So, and I gotta admit, the Vegas experience is just
oh my gosh.
different. It could just be because I'm from Florida and it's like I just drove over to a local show, you know, but
that was my favorite Olympia, not obviously just because I placed better, but because the atmosphere and environment was, the energy there was insane. Like it was super, super cool. But you know, I think applying for the Arnold will definitely depend on how the Olympia goes.
Yeah.
Because I always say this, you just never know what's going to happen. Obviously, we're going to do everything that we can to claim that top spot now. But it's going to be an interesting year for sure. Because I don't think everybody from the top 10 is going to be coming back this year for the Olympia. So.
Oh, you got some tea you want to spill, or are you going to keep it in the vault like you're so good at?
I'm just telling you about secrets. I don't be telling people's business.
I'll get it out of you. You think? A gummy and some tequila. Watch out.
It's none of my business, so I'm not going to be sharing. But I will take the gummies and tequila.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, DJ, for having a podcast with me.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
We'll do another one after the. It's fun to me to go to these shows with no one competing and actually just watch as a fan, and then we can discuss. So we'll definitely do a review of the bikini. Arnold. Yeah. Cool.
Don't ask me to do predictions though, because I don't know.
No, I don't like doing that. Here's my prediction. One of those girls will win it.
Good job.
All right. Let's see.
All right, guys.
How do I stop recording?